Hello and a warm welcome back to the Kilohertz Mercedes channel, and I hope you're all safe and well. Now today's video you join me not in my 2007 G55 G-Wagon. Now as you've probably seen from the title of the video, the thumbnail, and of course the car I'm sitting in, I'm not actually in my G-Wagon anymore. The G-Wagon's gone. So what car have I replaced it with? Well, some of you probably can tell already by the panoramic roof and the short cabin, but I'm going to reveal exactly what model I've got shortly. Before that, I thought I'd cover exactly why I've got rid of the G-Wagon. The G-Wagon's a car that I've wanted pretty much since I was a child. It's one of my dream cars. So why have I got rid of it? As you've probably seen in my previous videos about my living with the G-Wagon, I've mentioned that I've nearly had the car for 2 years, and in that time there's been a couple of issues which I did report on the living with video. The first one being the fuel economy. Now I went into a G-Wagon knowing that it's going to be a thirsty car, there's no hiding that, but the fact I got the AMG version as well, it's just even worse. If I'm lucky, around town I was seeing 8 or 9 to the gallon, and then on long trips maybe, if I'm lucky, 14 and 15. Not only that, you have to fill it with super unleaded as well, so there's that extra cost. It got to the point where it was no longer enjoyable driving the car. I was kind of finding excuses not to drive it, and you got to the point where you're almost on first name terms with the fuel station attendee. And after a while it gets quite tiresome. Got to the point where I was kind of almost affecting me financially. And then the second reason is, well, I miss having a driver's car. I mean, I like going, you know, at the weekends, going on the long twisty roads and actually, you know, just having a good drive. Something, however cool the G-Wagon is, it's pretty terrible to drive. There was no steering feel whatsoever. Long-term members of the channel have seen that I've also been to the Nürburgring a couple of times, and that's something I want to repeat with a future car, maybe this year or the next. So what model of AMG have I got? Let's find out.
Working on shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent, cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly, never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady, look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy.
So guys, this is it, my new SL63 AMG. Now I'm sure a number of you already guessed which model this was based upon the interior shots already. The car is a 2013 model, which means it comes under the chassis code R231. Now the car's covered 64,000 miles and is very highly spec'd with virtually all the options ticked. Now the car comes finished in Mercedes Designio graphite paintwork. Now Designio is Mercedes' name for their special or custom order scheme, which means this is a non-standard paint colour, so it's unlikely I'm ever going to see another model with the same colour. And the car's contrasted by a set of 10-spoke AMG alloys, which are staggered, that's 19 inch up front and 20 inches on the rear, finished in gloss black. This being an AMG model, the main event of course is got to be its engine. Let's pop the bonnet and take a look at the beast of a motor. So this is the 5.5 litre bi-turbo V8, and in this version of the engine it produces a whopping 530 brake horsepower with 590 foot-pounds of torque. Now according to Evo magazine, this is more torque than the Pagani Zonda 760 RS, according to their review of the car. And they incidentally awarded the SL63 AMG of this generation 4.5 stars out of 5. 0 to 62 comes in at 4.3 seconds, which isn't too bad when you consider the car actually weighs 1.8 tonnes. This R231 SL is in fact 125 kilos lighter than the predecessor SL, the R230. Now they achieved this by making the car as a construction of aluminium, as well as having a carbon fibre boot lid. And as we all know, real carbon fibre, especially factory fit, is cool on any car. Enough of me talking, take a quick listen to the engine and how good it sounds. As the SL is the ultimate midlife crisis mobile, it is of course a convertible with a folding metal roof. So let me show you its main party trick, which incidentally I've only just discovered you can activate via a long press of the key fob. Even if you aren't a fan of convertibles, you have to admit that watching the mechanism do its thing is always cool to watch, and a marvel of engineering. I just hope it never goes wrong. God knows what the cost would be if it ever did. Now the car is kitted out with a full-on leather interior, which is the full leather dashboard, the door cards, and it also features the AMG dynamic seats with active side bolstering and the optional air scarf. Now air scarf, if you don't know, is the heater within the headrest which blows warm air on your neck, with the idea of you being able to keep you nice and warm and toasty with the roof down when you're driving around in winter, which is a great idea. Next I have the AMG illuminated door sills in white. And also my particular model has the optional performance steering wheel, which has this part Alcantara, with Alcantara being at the 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock positions. And then moving above all this, all the SL63 AMGs come with the fancy IWC analog clock on the top of the dashboard, which adds a little bit of class, I guess. Now I'll quickly show you raising the roof back up again. Takes around 15 seconds or so, and you can do it from up to 5 miles per hour with the car moving, I believe. And as soon as that roof goes up, you get the security and comfort of having a coupe. Now this little hidden panel on the centre of the dash allows you to raise or lower all the 4 windows with the touch of one button, a real clever feature. And also there's a button which you can also raise or lower the wind deflector at the rear as well. Now the only option which I believe is missing from the car is the Magic Sky control, which is the electronic dimming sunroof. Maybe I'll look into retrofitting this at one point. Now of course, with the car being the best part 10 years old, it's not going to be perfect, and there are of course a couple of things that I need to address to get the car looking perfect once again. So first up are the rear hubs, which you can see here are fairly rusty, as well as the rear calipers and the wheel bolts. There's nothing major, it's just surface rust, but it does bring down the overall appearance of the car, and it should be easy enough to sort out. Next up is not a fault as such, but the car is crying out for some spacers. Now this is especially noticeable on the front wheels and how they sit within the arch. As with all my previous cars, I'll be looking at getting a full set of H&R hub-centric spacers to correct the car's stance and overall appearance. As you can see here, the rears aren't as bad as the front, but I definitely do need to get a full set. Now moving on to around the front of the car, the lower section of the front bumper is looking in a pretty sorry state, and is pretty much the only part of the car's exterior which actually lets it down. It's extremely heavy stone chips and the odd section which appears to have been badly scratched along a curb or something. There's also a large chunk of the car's felt wheel arch liner which is snapped off, which I'll need to look at replacing, probably with a new one from Mercedes. So I think I'll go and try and have a go at spraying in the lower section with some rattle cans. I'll get the custom colour made up. So watch this space and it'll be featured in a future video. And of course the 10-year-old AMG is going to have some slightly shabby looking exhaust tips. So I'm going to have a good go at cleaning these up looking like new. So why an SL? Well, after the G-Wagon, there's a couple of options available to me if I wanted to stick with Mercedes. First being the C63 AMG. Now there's nothing wrong with those cars, they're great ones, so I'd be looking at the W205 generation. The trouble is there's too many of them around, they're fairly common, and I don't think they're kind of special enough. The interior of course is, well, it's a C-Class, but if you go higher up the Mercedes line, the quality of the interiors is far better. There's the E63 AMG, which they're great cars, but I'd prefer CLS over them, and I had a CLS before the G-Wagon. And then the other option would be the S63, the S-Class coupe. Now they're absolutely huge cars. They're not particularly sporty, and the depreciation on them's terrifying. They'd be worth only a fraction of what I paid for it after only a couple of years. And that brought me back round to the SL, a car which I've always admired and longed for one day. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up this video. Now I hope you like my new AMG. I think it's absolutely amazing. There's going to be a lot more content to come on the channel, more than I had with the G-Wagon, because I'll be able to feature road trips, whether it's in the UK or around Europe. So if you want to see more of videos like this, please click on that subscribe button, and don't forget that bell icon. That way you're notified as soon as I upload new videos and content. If you like the video, also give it a thumbs up, which does help with YouTube, the algorithm, all that kind of thing. Until next time, thanks a lot for watching. Cheers.